So what we're going to do this morning is talk about what we're doing in Dynamics AX, what we're doing in Dynamics CRM, all coming out in a series of updates to our services this fall. Everything that we're doing is anchored in our mission statement, empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. And I think you'll see this morning as I and colleagues will demonstrate how we really are focused on helping people and organizations achieve more with our software. Certainly, everything we're doing is cloud first and mobile first, and I think you'll see that we're starting to do innovation that takes advantage of the cloud and lets us do things we just couldn't think about before. We've got some really exciting mobile capabilities across the product and focusing on just letting users work on the device that they feel they need to do their work on it and the particular device that they choose in whatever environment. And we're looking always now at adding, how do we add intelligence to our business solutions? Our applications gather an enormous amount of data. How do we take that data, combine it with the powerful tools in our data platform and our machine learning platform in order to turn that data into insights that let users make better decisions, let them be more effective in their work, let them achieve more. And then finally, thinking a lot about just the way that people do their work, what can make them productive, and how to combine sort of the productivity things that they need with the business process aspects of the business application. So for us, it all starts with the Azure cloud. And I don't know, I kind of grew up with the War Games movie. Actually, I was pretty old by the time that came out, but I don't understand why we always make slides that look like this, but the Azure platform investment around the globe is an amazing asset for us. And we take care of global customers. And having the footprint and the investment in what people across the globe need in terms of privacy, security, and data sovereignty is an amazing set of capabilities that lets us do things with Dynamics that other business applications simply can't touch. So why don't we start with Dynamics AX, and we'll take a look at sort of what's coming as we move forward through this year. So we introduced the new version of Dynamics AX on the Azure cloud, actually in the first quarter of 2016. And we're really excited about the momentum that we have with the product. And we have a great set of customers that are extremely happy with what they're doing around the globe. And this is not a map, so I this is not to scale, but a growing set of customers around the globe and really in every industry that we focus on, across retail, across manufacturing, public sector, professional services. And I think there's a number of things that we're seeing that make us very happy. First, the customers are doing really well. The early customers that were the first ones to get started are already in the next phases of their project, expanding their deployments to other parts of their business, other locations. Second, with the telemetry that we have, we're able to understand that these systems are healthy and staying healthy. Third is really scale and performance. We brought some very complex workloads online with this platform. Some, in fact, that move forward from AX 2012. And doing number of users, number of transactions, performance and scale at a level that we couldn't even thought of handling 6 to 12 months ago. And so the platform is progressing. The product is doing incredibly well. We've updated the service twice already, and what I'll talk to you about is really the third major update that's coming. I think there's another set of changes that we're seeing that we're very happy about. And it's a difference in the way people are approaching their projects. We see For one thing, we have an onboarding system that actually lets us understand customers and their projects months before they go live. So we understand now that we're able to see the progress of their implementation. We're able to see them move through user acceptance testing. We know when they're ready to go live. And we're looking in excess of 100 customers that have already bought, that are in the middle of their implementation. And it's a great thing because basically the first of every month, we get a set of emails around the team announcing a new set of go-lives every month. And we track actually every Monday morning. We review as a team. We look at the usage of the service, and we see it consistently growing and in an exciting way. But I think the thing that we're seeing that's different is much shorter projects. And not all of them. We still get the occasional Oliver Stone production that goes on for quite a long time. But we're seeing a set of implementations that really from start to finish can be between 60 and 90 days. And those customers are going in, getting live, and running their business and using a significant footprint of the application. And that was something that just was never possible in the on-prem world. So we're seeing great excitement. It's building. And we continue to move forward, adding customers every week and every month. This fall, we'll light up a number of capabilities, and let's just talk quickly about each of them. First, we'll deliver the next 18 localizations. So we shipped with 16, adding 18. We still have Russia and India that we're working on. But this brings us to very broad global coverage. More importantly than just the countries that we're covering is the way in which we're handling localization now. We made an enormous investment in, I think, really taking a cloud view of how to handle local requirements. We have to produce different financial reports, different tax information in every geography that we operate in. With AX 2012, we did a lot of work to let the system be able to handle all the possible geographies that we supported out of one instance. A huge volume of the code updates that we have to publish to customers and partners every month all stem from changing localization requirements. A government changes the format of a report, requires additional information. Local banks change their reporting requirements. And we have to publish updates. And the partners and the customers needed to take those in and implement them in their system. And with this version of AX that we released this year, we thought we would go in a different direction. And instead of reflecting those changes in code, we wanted to find a way to make those be configuration, be metadata, be something that could be just basically passed around as data. So we've invested in a configurable electronic reporting layer. We're investing in a tax engine, also configurable, so that when we make changes to deal with a new law or a changing bank reporting requirement, it's just a data change. And the system that we implemented actually lets those things have an effective date with them. So if I have a new law going into effect November 1st, I don't have to set an alarm for October 31st to wake up and make a change to the system. I can do it whenever I'm ready with an effective date of November 1st, and the system will automatically put it in place. We also, in our lifecycle services, set up a portal where we publish the alerts about all the coming internationalization changes, and we let customers connect and get the updates automatically. So it's a big step forward to go from 16 countries to 34, but the other thing that's happened in this version, over this release, is further investment in this new model that lets internationalization changes going forward be handled as data and configuration and not code updates. So it's continued progress in really behaving more like a cloud-based system. We've also produced a new Power BI content pack that includes reports and KPIs all focused on the HR space. So you see some breakdown of employees by geography. And we also look at level and performance and skills. So there's a whole set of BI assets that are now available out of the box for the HR space, all taking advantage of HR. We have a new cost accounting module in this version that we'll release this fall, making it very easy to allocate costs to whatever cost objects you want to set up in whatever hierarchy you want to manage them. And that's been something that I know customers and partners have been waiting for a long time. And we're very excited to be actually bringing that forward in the product. And then also finally in the core, lighting up US payroll so that you can configure pay records and process payrolls in the US. And that was an important feature that was part of our previous release that wasn't in the cloud version that we're now lighting up. Retail is one of our most important markets, and we have a lot of new capability that's coming online for retail with this release. The first is a thing that we call the Retail Scale Unit. I'm hopeful that we come up with another name for that. That just feels like a very Microsoft name to me. But think about it as the ability to have hardware in the actual store location so that the store's running powered by the cloud, but they've got hardware and data storage locally that doesn't require management. All the management, all the disaster recovery is done on the cloud-based system. But what the Retail Scale Unit does is provide two things. One is connectivity to local hardware, special printers, credit card devices, but it also provides an offline data cache. And so if there's an interruption in connectivity to the cloud, the store can continue to process transactions, the point of sale devices can continue to work, and the store has a cache of data that it would need of customers, products, pricing, et cetera, to continue to operate. So it's a real focus on, we think, a great hybrid architecture for cloud, where the system that you have to manage, the system that you care about, the real system of truth is the one in the cloud. You do all your management there, but we still have local hardware that can provide acceleration, can provide continuation, and can provide connection to peripherals. Second thing that we've lit up in the retail application is activating advanced warehousing support for inside the retail location. So if you think about large retailers, maybe lumber and hardware, that really the store itself effectively looks like a small warehouse, and the pick and put away operations look exactly like they would in a warehouse. We need the support on the retail devices in the retail environment to do that, and to manage that warehouse, and we're providing those capabilities. The third thing, and you see quite a collection of device pictures on the slide, but activating iOS and Android support for the point of sale and for the tablet applications in the store. And we have kind of the native behaviors you'd expect on each kind of device, but all with a consistent navigation and a consistent appearance, so that we're able to deliver the full retail experience on whatever devices the store wants to operate with. One of the really exciting features that we're bringing out is product recommendations. So this is really empowering the in-store salesperson to make product recommendations based on knowledge of the customer, customers like that customer, things that they've bought. And it's a very important thing for a retailer. We've all sort of come to expect when we shop online that we have access to the kind of things that Amazon does, for example, to recommend products we might like, things that would go well with the first product we bought, et cetera. But when you walk in the store, you don't typically get the same experience where the salesperson knows you, knows what you've bought, and has access to the same kind of intelligent recommendation engine. So we've implemented that and provided that in the retail application. I'd actually like to talk a little bit about sort of how we're doing it, because it's an architecture that's part of Dynamics AX now that I think opens up a ton of very interesting possibilities. So in our cloud on Azure, we have AX running against its operational database on SQL. We've lit up a new thing called the Entity Store, which is a separate SQL instance where we replicate selected data into the Entity Store. And that entity store can actually live in the customer's subscription. So unlike the operational store, which is part of the AX service, and as a result, which we kind of run in a very lockdown mode in order to protect the performance and scale of the service, the customer can have a lot more access to what's going on in the entity store. It's read-only. We replicate out of AX into the store, but they can have full access to do things with the data. Because it is on Azure, it's visible to the Cortana Intelligence Suite assets. So in this case, the Azure Machine Learning environment, where there's a great product recommendation algorithm that's available. And so we're able to light up the recommendation algorithm based on machine learning, pulling directly from the customer's data without impacting performance of the transactional system, and then make those recommendations and bring that back. So this is one application of the entity store. We see customers and partners doing all kinds of other things with it. But in this case, it enables us to light up the machine learning capability and product recommendations in retail. Let's talk a little bit about just capabilities around the AX service itself and building on the capabilities in the Azure cloud. So we're every month increasing our scale potential, both using scale out and scale up approaches. We've done a bit of testing, and based on architectural changes, we really believe that the new version of AX has the ability to scale well beyond anything we were doing in the previous release in the on-prem environment. And now we've got the cloud capabilities coming online month after month to make that possible. So for example, from a scale-out point of view, AX now runs, it has always run with a high availability configuration, so there's a secondary database. We're now able to use the secondary database to do analytics while we're running transactions against the primary. At the same time, the scale of Azure SQL that we're using has increased and continues to increase, both in terms of the database engine capacity as well as the storage capacity. And so our scale limits go up. We have a disaster recovery model that's now stronger and quicker based on use of the Azure Site Recovery features. We've activated data encryption to protect all data at rest. But the thing that's new this year is the inclusion of Azure Key Vault, which means that the customer manages the keys. So the customer has the ability to control when keys change. The customer can revoke the keys. And we manage all of the seamless encryption of everything that's going on. We have telemetry that lets us understand both the health of the production system, but also the onboarding process and where customers are and how well they're doing with learning the system, going through their implementation, doing their staging, and doing the testing. We've activated AX in the Canadian data centers, which was, I think, perhaps escalated a little bit because our partner conference was held in Toronto this year, and we thought it would be really important to be actually available in that country when we were standing there. So we pushed that along. And the next big one for us will come later this year, but we'll start a preview in the German Azure data center. And I'm not sure if people are completely familiar with that, but it's our technology. It's multiple data centers in Germany. But the unique thing is that legally, the administrator of the data there is not us, but it's our partner, Deutsche Telekom. So any request for access to the data has to go through German court, German law, and for our European customers, that's a huge advantage and a huge strength of the Microsoft platform. So we're very excited about moving Dynamics into the German data centers later this year. We've started to do migration of AX 2009 customers to the new version, so we've produced a set of tooling, and we're constantly refining the way those work, and we're going to work with a few more early customers and then make that available generally this fall. There's a very large base of those customers that are, as you might guess from the name of their version, ready for something new, and we're excited to bring them to our cloud. Later, or early next year, we'll light up the migration from Dynamics AX 2012. The next thing, and something we're going to show you a little bit, is giving people the ability to easily design mobile experiences. So we talk about, obviously, the focus on cloud first and mobile first. We wanted to do something that let people, in fact, power users that understood Dynamics AX, create specific mobile experiences that made sense for their environment without writing code. So with that, I've asked Adrian Orth to come up and join us. And what Adrian's going to do is show us a little bit of a demo of the new mobility features in Dynamics AX. And so the idea is building on all of the capability that is in the full footprint of the AX product, using that through a set of tools that take advantage of a feature called Task Recorder and a new environment for managing mobile experiences, and without any code, producing an experience that can run on any phone. I think you're on an Android device.
I'm on a Samsung, yep.
Yep, Samsung Android device, not the one that my flight attendant on my way here told me had to be turned off. But on whatever device the user wants, produce a very compelling mobile experience with the right native controls without writing any code. So with that, I'll turn it over to Adrian.
Thanks, Mike. So this is our new AX mobile app that we've developed. I'll walk through some of the navigation experience on that. When you first come into here, you'll see that we have a set of workspaces very similar to the underlying browser client that we have for AX. As we go in, you'll see information around who's logged in, the configuration, what you're connected to right now. And today we're going to walk through the sales management and manage creating sales orders. As you drill into the workspace, you're first going to see a list of places that you go. In this particular demo, we've just configured one list, but you can have a variety of places in there. As I drill into this list, we're now connecting up to the server, and we're pulling down information to the client itself, and you can see it then refreshing. The product, as we're building it to be working on a mobile device, had to focus not only on being mobile first, being touch friendly and the interaction patterns and mobile patterns. We ended up also going and putting it into an offline mode. So all of the data that you saw coming into here is being queried from a system, or from our system, and then pulled down locally. And then all the rendering happens from that local system. So that when I go, and now that I've pulled that data down for the first time, and I go back into the sales orders, it's going to load instantaneously because it's not querying the system anymore. It's actually pulling from a local cache. Same thing as I go into one of our detail records and you see the information coming up. Subsequent calls into there will be faster because it's all going to be done on that first level call. To help users work in here, because lists of data in AX can be quite large and your device may not have all of the information local, we've put in a number of search capabilities. The first one you're seeing here is I'm searching against something that's local on the device, so it was an immediate hit in terms of the information that came back. I'm now going to go ahead and put in a search for one that I know doesn't exist on the device, and nothing came back from our initial result set. So we'll go ahead and we'll do a search online to go fetch that information from the record. Now you see it's come down with the details. That first level selection was just the information necessary for that list item, and then it had to make a second trip to get the details behind that particular record. So we're managing the amount of space that we're using on the device as we go through that. Okay, so now that we've gone through and we've seen a couple of orders, let's go ahead and create an order on this device. We have a series of actions that are available in here. And one thing about the actions, we're going through and we're making calls to the AX form along the way. When I was opening up that list and when I'm fetching the details, and now when I'm going to create the action, we're going against the forms and not directly against the database or not directly against the tables. That allows us to take in all of the security, the rights, the configuration, the information that is available in the AX forms is now available for this application itself. So we'll go ahead and we'll create our new sales order. We have lookups on here. This is one of our richer lookups where we can see a set of cards and information. We'll pick Retail San Diego and say done. Now at this point I could have had a number of additional fields on there, but in this simple experience there's just one that we end up picking. And now it's ended up creating one. And you would have saw for a brief amount of time that the customer name wasn't there because we didn't have it. It went and then fetched that information from the server and then displayed it. So it's just pulling the data down as it needs. Next step is we're going to go create some lines on this order. Next action on there is add the line. So let's go ahead and pick one of the products that we have. We'll take 2 of those. I need to go from a particular site and warehouse. And I am done, and now it's synchronizing my changes back to the system.
And so all those controls for picking are the native ones from the device. So if I was on a Windows device, I'd see what I expected. If I was
Especially
on
on
an
those
iOS.
lookups, yep, and calendars, we're using a lot of those same controls over. Yep. Okay, so now that we've gone ahead and created this one, this was in the case where I was connected. Everything was happening, with multiple calls to the server along the way. But that may not be always the case. There are times when you're not available, you don't have the networking. So we're going to go ahead and go into airplane mode right now, so that we're going to go ahead and use the product. And we're going to start by now, and you can see here that I have in the upper corner a symbol that says things are not synchronizing right now, next to the all sales orders. We'll go ahead and we'll create our sales order. We're picking customer. Again, this has got to be from cache data, so that if you don't have that data there, you're not able to create some of them. But we've got our customer account list already down, so we've pulled that in. Now, this record that you're seeing has a slightly different status and indicator because it's not fully available. It doesn't have all of the data. But we still have enough information to create lines on this offline order that we've started. So we'll go ahead on our actions. We're going to add a line into there, and we'll go for the same product, but this time I think I want to go with 3 instead of 2 in terms of the quantity. And at the end, I'm going to go ahead and delete that one order as well, the old order. Okay, so now we've added an order and a line, and still now we have 2 synchronization actions that are queued up. We're going to go out of this order and into the one I just created a moment ago. And I want to delete that one. That one has the quantity of 2 on there, and this one I moved to an order of 3. Okay, now it's telling it to do the delete. Its deleted record is marked as unsynchronized right now. And now you see the count of 3 that we need to do. Now it's time for me to get into the office. I now have connectivity. So we'll take ourselves out of airplane mode. And as we do that, we're going to go ahead and the device will start recognizing that it's now connected to the network. You see the processing starts happening, and it's starting to chip away at those unsynchronized records that are being sent now up to the server. The data that we didn't have available because of the name and other pieces have now come down, and we're now completely available on the device. So we now just completed a business process where we're interacting with data offline, and it's still connecting back to the system when you're available. All of this done was a simple interface on the product that didn't require that we went in and did any code. So I'll go through and show that now.
Yep.
I'll move this to the side.
Yep. We're going to be late for the town hall meeting.
Okay. They'll understand. Okay, the first thing I want to do is go into our settings menu and open up our mobile app recording. This process allows us to define within our product and make references to the forms as you go along. In here you'll see that I have a set of workspaces that are similar to the set. If I navigate back to my list here, you'll see those same kind of items are being listed as there. We'll go into the sales management one right now, and we're going to go in and edit that. And you'll see now that in here I have some attributes where I can set the name, description, the color, the workspace icon that we're reusing. We can add new pages, actions, and even the ability to upload some JavaScript code that allows client-side interactions to allow this to work in offline if you need a richer scenario. In this particular case, we're just working with the all sales order, so we'll go in and I'll edit that and I'll show you some of the fields. So you see here we have a list of the data fields that were all available, and those are what's being taken in. If I wanted to go in now and change that list, I would go to the form that we were using here, the all sales orders form. And when that's up, you'll see that I have the selected items available. And we have a graphical way that you go through an existing form on the product. And this is what Mike was talking about, how we reuse the UI that you have, and you're not doing a lot of development along the way. I'm selecting certain fields that I want to pull into there, and now I've created that list of items. And as I finish up my list, I get prompted then for publishing this. This information will then go back to the device, and on my next reload of the metadata information, the changes that I've made are now available to all of the users that are using the device in the business process.
That's great. Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks.
So the neat thing there is that somebody who knows how to use the product can just learn that additional management experience and create the apps for the phone for the tasks that they need without writing code, and publish those to all their users on all their devices. And that's something that will be in the product this fall. Okay, let's change gears a little bit and talk a little bit about what's coming in the CRM update. Again, tremendous momentum around the CRM product, and with a very, very high cloud focus. So we've now had, we just finished our fiscal year. We've had 48 consecutive quarters of double-digit growth in the CRM business. We've doubled CRM online seats, not just year over year, but also the last 7 consecutive quarters. And the business has really pivoted to cloud, with 80% of new customers choosing cloud. Again, great set of customers around the world in all the industries that we focus on. So you see a lot more here, for example, in financial services, in health, which are the leading CRM segments. But there's a tremendous focus in these customers on just passion for their engagement with their customers, and we're really excited about the fact that they've chosen Dynamics CRM. We're also getting great reception for the product from all the analysts, from Gartner, from Forrester, and then a whole series of the CRM-specific publications, really understanding and looking at Dynamics CRM and calling it out for its strength and competitive strength. Let's talk a little bit about the things that we're doing and the focus of our investments, and I think you'll see the same pattern. Focus on taking advantage of cloud, around thinking about how people work and around their productivity, and about what we do with data to develop insights and let our users make smarter and smarter decisions. So there's a tremendous focus on the way we model business process in CRM. And so that's a capability that's been there for several releases. But what you'll see this time is a new, much easier to use creation environment for authoring the business processes. So this was very much a list and table kind of process definition for stages and steps in a business process that's now much more graphical. It covers both the human business process as well as orchestration of logic, both within CRM and also composition with other systems. So you can see a call out to a credit rating agency as part of one of these process steps. And a whole set of functionality that centers on, again, using data, using learning, to surface insights to help users make the best choice of their what we call next best action. So here you see a tip popping up and giving a seller a recommendation on where to go or not to go with a discount. On the right, you see a set of analytics about the process and where things are spending time in which stages. So insight both for the user and then also for the administrative team that is responsible for the system. One of the most exciting new capabilities is a unified customer intelligence service. So one of the things people always talk about is this idea of a customer 360. Let me understand everything that I'm doing with my customer so that I can recommend the best next product so that I can understand what they want before perhaps even they know. So it starts with a cloud service on Azure that captures events and tracks events from everywhere. And we ship it with integrations out of the box for our CRM and our social components, but partners and customers can build their own integrations to take signal from whatever system, whether it's their website, could be from their call center, and put those things into this unified view of what is going on with this customer that we can then use Cortana Intelligence, machine learning, in order to build those insights that say, here's a product that you should promote to this customer, here's a customer that you should call because we're concerned about them, here's a pricing suggestion for this customer, all based on really having that unified view of everything that's going on. Similar to what we showed with the Entity Store on Dynamics AX, we have a great new architecture for really lighting up all the business intelligence assets against the Dynamics CRM data. So it's the same thing. We replicate out of the CRM service, so we protect the performance and scale of the runtime service and replicate out in a scalable way into an Azure SQL asset or even the Azure SQL Data Warehouse asset, so that data is then available either for to build cubes on, or as well to use things like Power BI, any of the self-service BI tools against that. So it's a high-scale data replication that means we don't have a lot of latency, but the core thing is we're protecting the performance and the scalability of the CRM service itself, while still letting people have access to the full set of richness and analytics that Power BI, that SQL Analytics service make possible. Using the Customer 360 store, we've built a whole series of intelligence functions into the product, really aiming to help sellers and marketers get sort of that guidance to the best next action of what they should do, what's the best thing to do with a given customer. And so, first, in terms of the relationship assistant, understanding who do I know that has worked with this customer, what do I know about this customer, what's the news that's going on with this customer that might be relevant to a sales cycle. Also looking at my own work, capturing all of my activity, and being able to analyze where am I spending my time, which of that time being spent is effective, and how do I guide myself to do more of that. The tie to the productivity system, looking at email and being able to understand when an action is required that relates to CRM. So is a customer asking me for a proposal? Is there follow-up that's called for that I can identify automatically in an email and then guide that seller to take action? So a very, very powerful bridge between the email and the productivity world and the CRM application, and this also lights up this fall. Okay, the last piece we're going to talk about is Power Apps, and I think this morning you probably heard reference to Dynamics 365. And that's a sort of branding that we announced earlier this summer at our partner conference, but it talks about bringing CRM and AX closer together. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But with another tool called Power Apps that's part of Microsoft's cloud focus on letting businesses and letting ISVs build solutions that talk to our business applications as well as talk to others. So we'll talk a little bit about Power Apps this morning. And then actually hopefully do a quick demo. So when we sort of think about our cloud proposition to business customers, it's a combination of the Dynamics assets as well as Office 365, as well as all the analytics and data tools, Power BI, Cortana Intelligence, as well as a whole set of third-party capabilities, whether they're extensions to our applications or additional third-party apps. One of the things that we've done this year is introduced something new called AppSource, which is a marketplace that lets customers find apps from us, extensions from us, as well as from ISVs, and bring those directly into their cloud business applications. But the last piece is this capability that lets customers and ISVs build solutions that sit on top of their other assets from us or even from other vendors. And that's a combination of things: Power BI, Flow, and Power Apps. So let's talk a little bit about sort of how that works. The idea, again, similar to what you saw in Adrian's demo, is we really want to let power users at least take the first set of steps of being able to address a business challenge quickly and build solutions that they don't have to write code to deliver. And that there's a formula that says those solutions should bring together analytics, user experience, as well as automation. So the whole idea is the analytics let me measure, let me understand something that's going on in my business. The user experience lets me take those analytics, show them to a user, and guide them to a set of steps. And if those steps become something that happen repeatedly, then let's make it easier and actually give them a way to automate those steps. And the products that do those things are Power BI, is what lets me measure. Power Apps is what lets me build the solutions that let me act. And Microsoft Flow is the tool that lets me take repeated actions and automate them. One of the things that when people typically build tools that are focused on the power user and the analyst and not writing code, when you hit the limit of what that tool can do, it's often a brick wall. And if you need to do more, there's not an easy way to do it. You either have to go directly to the metal and start writing code and lose all the benefits of the analyst-focused tool, or you have no way to do that. It was important for us to do this in a different way and let the professional developer work with the power user to extend and do even more. And so there's a set of components that correspond to each of the analyst tools that make that possible. So on the BI side, the analyst can work in Power BI. If there's something that they need to do that they can't address, they can have a data professional using SQL Analytics Service, maybe create a cube, create an aggregate that they can then take advantage of in Power BI. For logic, in order to let somebody act, if I can't express it declaratively in Power Apps, a developer can write code, package that as something we call an Azure function. So an Azure function gives you a way, without actually configuring or managing a server, to say, I need this code run for me in the Azure cloud. They can do that. They can give us some additional metadata about that function that they've written. And now that function can be made available to the Power Apps business analyst. So the business analyst can now say, when this button is hit, call that function that my professional developer wrote for me, pass these parameters, and here's what I expect to get back. And so it allows the environment to get extended by the professional developer from a code point of view. And then on the orchestration and integration side, Microsoft Flow is actually just an analyst view on top of a much stronger engine, which is Logic Apps. And Logic Apps is sort of the core of our kind of evolving cloud and analog to what BizTalk used to be. So a very sophisticated orchestration capability. And they in fact run on the same engine. So if the Flow developer needs help, they can get a professional developer to do that work in Logic Apps. And then the last piece, which we're lighting up, is a common data model. So this is a schema published by Microsoft for all the objects that people need when they're extending business applications, whether it's things like customer or vendor, whether it's sales order, purchase order, a full schema of objects that we'll publish. And you can find the early preview documentation for that online already today. And connectors not just to our applications, but to a wealth of third-party applications. And so this gives enterprise developers an easy way to go build a solution that does analytics against multiple business applications, lets them build a user experience to let a user maybe work with data that's coming from different business applications, perform actions against those applications, and then where necessary, automate those actions. So if the demos are cooperating here, we'll get a, there we go. It's all good. Okay, so I am logged into to Power Apps here, and you can go to powerapps.microsoft.com and see it and try it, and even preview some of the data platform assets that are there. What this is my sort of homepage. It's actually my friend Eric's homepage, just for clarity. And what it shows is a set of applications that are available to me. We're going to use the one at the top, which is beautifully named Power Apps Sample. But if you look at some of the others, you can see that they're pulling data from Office 365, that they're connecting to Salesforce, connecting to Wunderlist, connecting to Trello. And so there's a whole set of connectors that are out there to different business applications that lets me build a user experience in a single, consistent way and pull data from wherever I need it to. So I'm going to go launch our sample app. And one of the things about these apps, and this is making lemonade out of lemons, but it wants to remind me every time that I have to tell it it's okay to use the camera, but this gives me an opportunity to talk about the fact that it can take advantage of local device hardware. So things like GPS on a phone device, as well as camera on a phone or a Surface. But now I'll tell it I really, for the 10th time, mean that that's okay. So this is a Power App that we've built that's talking to Exchange, and it's talking to Dynamics CRM. So here what it's done is pulled up a list of my meetings, and I can run this on a tablet, I can run it on a phone. And what it's done is pulled up a list of my meetings from Exchange, and if I click into one of those meetings, it's now pulling data from CRM about the customer. So it recognized it was a meeting with a customer and then found the record in CRM based on that customer. And the way you do that is you write simple expressions that look like Excel expressions. So the developer said, I want a list here, and the way you populate that list is to go to CRM and bring back records that are contacts for the customer, fill in the blank, and the blank comes from what was picked from the meeting. So here I see a set of people are going to be in the meeting that I know something about because I got it from CRM. But it also noticed from Exchange 2 other people that CRM doesn't know about. And so one of those is Eric. And let's go ahead and why don't we add Eric to CRM so that we can continue to track him. So here's a place where I could use the camera, but Eric was kind enough to give me his mugshot. I'm sorry, photo. So we can. Go ahead and put that lovely shot in there, and then we'll just fill in his name. And I could fill in additional information about phone and company. But I'll go ahead and add him to CRM. Which is going to take far more than is comfortable when you're standing on stage. It's a little picture. Thanks, Daniel. But oh, magic. Okay, great. So there he is. And I can now open his contact again. And for example, we're talking to a completely different service, which is LinkedIn. So that was just taking data from the application through another expression, going off and looking up Eric on LinkedIn. And now I can see some additional information about this person that I'm going to meet with. Hopefully, yeah, he's not actively looking for, okay, that's good to see. You know, it'd be really neat if we could get the data from LinkedIn and put it back in CRM. If there was only something we could do to have access to the LinkedIn data, that would be really effective. But I think that will come soon, subject to successful close of the deal. So what you see is this is a app that can be run locally or mobilely on a tablet or on a phone. It's talking to Exchange and CRM, and everything that was done in there was done without writing any code. The most that you get is something that looks like an Excel expression. So I invite people to go look at powerapps.microsoft.com and try it. Look at it. Look at the connectors that are available, and also start to work with the data pieces that we've put online. So go back to the slides. That's great. Okay. Okay. So there are a ton of sessions today and through this week to learn more about all of these areas. You'll see further detail on the mobility piece. You'll see further detail on the CRM pieces, as well as some really good breakouts on all the aspects of that Power Apps development platform. I encourage people to go check those out. As well, you know, obviously the thing that we're not talking a ton about this morning is Dynamics 365. We have a launch event for Dynamics 365 actually coming up just in a couple of weeks. There will be, in Scott Guthrie's Vision keynote on the 11th, which I believe will be streamed. You'll be able to see the full details on Dynamics 365. I think the easiest way to think about it is all the things that I talked about this morning in terms of capabilities of Dynamics AX. When customers get that update to Dynamics AX, the name will change and it'll say Dynamics 365. The same for operations. The same thing will be true with the CRM update, is that customers will see the new naming. But really the best way to think about it is all the capabilities we talked about today delivered in a way that's easier for customers to purchase, easier for customers to implement, and easier for customers to use together. The Power Apps pieces are included depending on the way it's licensed, and all of those things will work together. And so it's a big change. But really, I think the most effective way for the Dynamics community to think about it is it's just the next update to the AX and to the CRM services, packaged in a way that's easier to buy, easier to deploy, and easier to work together. But there'll be more detail later about where to stream the event. But in Scott's keynote, we'll go through the full details of what's additionally new with Dynamics 365. And I think that's it for me. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate your spending time with us and at Ignite. Thanks.